Hello everyone, good evening. Warm welcome to Regulatory Bodies YouTube channel by Testbook. My name is Madhav. I welcome you all in a very important and the next session of Finance Current Affairs. So in today's session, firstly we'll quickly revise the questions based on the news which we have covered in the previous session, and after covering the news, or I would say after revising the previous week's session, then we will be moving ahead. And today I have three important updates for you. If I talk about these three important updates, first update is directly from MSME ministry, which is really very important if you're preparing for SEBI examination as well as RBI and PFRDA examination. The next news is directly from SEBI as well as it has link with SBI. We'll discuss that. And finally, I will be talking about a very important draft which has been given by RBI regarding the settlement of claims in respect of deceased customers of bank direction. So most likely ये जो draft है, it's going to be accepted as it is. Feedback which will be provided by the public. I'm not expecting that there would be much change in the structure because it is very well quoted, it's very well presented. तो ये ड्राफ्ट पढ़ लेते हैं ताकि जब एक दो महीने बाद इसकी जो फाइनल गाइडलाइंस जब आएंगी तब हमारा काम थोड़ा कम हो जाएगा, बिकॉज वी हैव ऑलरेडी स्टडीड ऑल द निटी-ग्रिटीज एज मेंशन इन द ड्राफ्ट इटसेल्फ, एंड आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग दैट मोस्ट ऑफ देम विल रिफ्लेक्ट इन द फाइनल गाइडलाइंस एज वेल. ठीक है जी, स्टार्ट करें बिना किसी देरी के. इफ यू ऑल आर रेडी एंड यू वांट मी टू स्टार्ट विद द डिस्कशन, क्विकली गिव मी यस सर सो दैट वी कैन बिगिन विदाउट एनी फर्दर डिले. हाँ, एक और चीज, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन, as I always share the homework question for each and every news which we cover. I expect you all to please share your answers in the comment section, and in the very next class I will be giving you the correct answers of the homework questions as well. So let's get started with the discussion. A quick revision from the previous session and then we will be moving ahead. अच्छा, पिछले सेशन की PDF अभी तक अपलोडेड नहीं है. अच्छा, ऐसा है क्या? Let me see once. Okay, ठीक है. I will be uploading both the PDFs simultaneously. Don't worry guys, I will be uploading both the PDFs today itself after this session simultaneously. अगले सेशन के 15 मिनट के बाद you will get the PDF. Don't worry. Don't worry. ठीक है जी. So let's get started. Let's get started with the discussion. So the first question from where I would like to start my discussion, I won't discuss the homework questions in much detail because अगर आपके पास PDF नहीं थी तो I'm expecting that you must have not gone through with the content in much detail. So don't worry. So don't worry. I won't be taking much time of yours in the revision wala section. We will be majorly focusing on today's news. ठीक है? So let's begin. Questions जो हमारे पास homework format में है, those questions are basically related to your news which we have discussed regarding the continuous clearing and settlement on realization and check truncation system. तो एक बार आप दोबारा इसे पढ़ लीजिएगा. नेक्स्ट क्लास में आई विल बी इंक्लूडिंग them in my homework part itself. ठीक है जी, चल. I'll start with the first news. The first news of the evening talks about NSIC. अब मुझे नहीं पता आप में से कितने लोगों ने इसके बारे में सुना है, but if I use this term NSIC, it stands for National Small Industries Corporation Limited. National Small Industries Corporation Limited. As the name suggests, yes, it is a government-owned organization. आपको पढ़ते ही लगा होगा कि यार ये तो गवर्नमेंट की ऑर्गेनाइजेशन लग रही है नाम से, तो बिल्कुल सही है. It is a government organization which is operating under the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Do let me know the Minister for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises in the comment section. So NSIC has signed a memorandum of understanding with the private sector banks, with few of the private sector banks, and this is basically done in order to, this move is basically done, or this initiative, this tie-up is basically done under the framework of the MSME credit facilitation program, which is aimed at easing access to credit, easing the access to credit, ensuring last mile connectivity as well as accelerating the growth and formalization of MSME sector. तो यहाँ ये जो MOU साइन हुआ है, so this MOU has been signed by a government owned organization with some of the private sector banks, of the country. And the question over here is why this tie-up has been done. What is the logic behind this particular tie-up? So the logic behind this particular tie-up is basically to promote MSME credit facilitation program. This MSME credit facilitation program has been launched under the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, which is aiming at easing the access to credit. We all know that MSME sector is one of the most important sector of the economy. Why it is one of the most important sector of the economy? Then my answer would be, sir, MSME sector contributes nearly 30% of India's GDP, and it contributes, or it has 45% share in the total exports of the country. As per the RBI data which was given in July 2025, it has shown that 15% year-on-year growth in MSME lending has been witnessed, but still there is a huge credit gap, and in order to fulfill this particular credit gap, this MOU has been signed. So in order to provide access to credit, ensure last mile connectivity, as well as accelerating the growth and formalization of the MSME sector. अब इस पर्टिकुलर MOU से क्या क्या पॉइंट्स है जो हमें याद रखने, लेकिन उससे पहले वी शुड नो अबाउट NSIC. So NSIC, if I talk about, it is a government of India enterprises which is under the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, which is established back in 1955, और इसे establish किया गया था 1955 में basically to promote, aid and foster the growth of micro and small enterprises in the country. So it's a nodal agency which is implementing the schemes, n number of schemes for micro, small and medium enterprises. It provides finance, marketing, technology as well as training support to the MSMEs. If I talk about its functions, it provides credit support, it provides marketing support, it provides technology support, as well as it provides skill development and training to the MSME units. Remember that NSIC is basically a mini Ratan category 2 PSU, and it supports micro and small enterprises only, not medium. Remember that single point registration scheme is a major initiative under this particular scheme which we are discussing. Now let's come and find out the highlights. What happens recently? NSIC, which is a mini Ratan category 2, has signed MOU with private banks to support MSME financing, has tied up with private banks to promote MSME financing. Who all are involved in this? So NSIC, which is a government owned organization, has signed up this MOU with some of the private sector banks, which include Axis Bank, Dhanlaxmi Bank, Karnataka Bank, IndusInd Bank, and newly formed schedule bank, that is AU Small Finance Bank. Now you must be thinking, sir, AU Small Finance Bank to purana. I agree, it's an older bank, but recently AU Small Finance Bank has received the title of schedule bank. It has recently received the title of schedule bank, and that is the reason I'm saying that it is recently formed schedule bank of the country, which has also been included under this particular title. ठीक है जी, क्लियर हो गया पॉइंट? आई होप द पॉइंट इज क्लियर टिल दिस पॉइंट. मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट. अब आप अगर सोच रहे हैं कि ये सारे बैंक्स के नाम आपको याद करने होंगे, नॉट रिक्वायर्ड. डू नॉट रिमेंबर द नेम. यू जस्ट व्हाट यू नीड टू understand is, you just need to understand, what you need to remember is about this MOU between NSIC and the private banks. Program under which this tie-up is done. So the program under which this tie-up is done, that is Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Credit Facilitation Program. What are the objectives? First objective is streamline financing. Streamline financing. For what purpose? A streamline financing for the MSMEs, strengthen last mile connectivity for the MSMEs, promote formalization of small enterprises and enhance bank MSME collaboration for inclusive growth. तो आप समझिए कि MSME मिनिस्ट्री अंडर एक प्रोग्राम इनिशिएट किया गया, दैट इज माइक्रो स्मॉल मीडियम एंटरप्राइजेस क्रेडिट फैसिलिटेशन प्रोग्राम, और उसी प्रोग्राम को प्रमोट करने के लिए NSIC ने रिसेंटली टाई अप किया है विद सम ऑफ द प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक्स. अब क्या क्या एक्सपेक्टेड बेनिफिट्स है, तो ऑब्वियसली बेनिफिट किसे मिलेगा? एमएसएमईज को। तो एमएसएमईज को एक्सेस मिलेगा। एक्सेस मिलेगा किसका? सर, इंप्रूव्ड एक्सेस टू द फॉर्मल बैंकिंग सिस्टम. It will result in easier credit availability for the banks. It will enhance their trust and participation in the formal economy. दूसरी तरफ अगर हम बैंक्स की बात करें तो सर बैंक का रीच बढ़ गया, बैंक के ऊपर बैंक के लिए जो कस्टमर बेस है that will increase. It will result in increase in opportunity to build strong MSME portfolio for the banks, and last mile credit delivery in the underserved regions can be done, which will help the banks to fulfill its priority sector lending targets as well. As we all know, MSME comes under the category of priority sector lending. तो अगर आप MSME को ज़्यादा लोन दे पा रहे हैं, then you will be in a position to complete or achieve your priority sector lending targets. Now for economy, how it is beneficial? So it will support the government vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So with respect to the economy, it is important because it will support government's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. It will strengthen job creation as well as industrialization at grassroots level, and it will encourage formalization, reducing dependence on informal credit sources. So these are going to be the benefits for the economy, these are the benefits for the banks, and these are the benefits for the MSMEs under this particular tie-up which has been done. अब आप बहुत बार सुनते हैं ये बात कि MSME बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, लेकिन बहुत कम जगह पर you find the appropriate content where you can rely on, as well as you can remember that content for your upcoming future. I have the content for you for the current affairs related to MSME. So remember that as per the latest data, India's micro, small and medium enterprises sector contributes nearly 30% to GDP and 45% to the India's total export. As per RBI's latest data, there is a 15% year-on-year growth in the MSME lending, but yet there is a credit gap. The signing of these MOUs come at a time when government is focusing on digital lending platforms for MSMEs, Udyam, Assist, platform integration for credit-linked schemes, strengthening PM Vishwakarma Yojana for the traditional artisans as well as small entrepreneurs. So these are also the initiatives taken by the government to support micro, small enterprises. Globally, the initiative aligns with the G20 agenda of improving access to finance for MSMEs in developing countries. So this particular MOU which has been signed, it is not only beneficial on the national level, it is also important on the international level because it is trying, or it is in line with improving or reaching to the targets of G20 organization as well. ठीक है जी, समझ आ गई बात? तो आपके लिए जो मोटी मोटी बातें यहाँ पर इंपॉर्टेंट है वो क्या? पहली बात है सर NSIC which is a government owned mini Ratan category 2, which is a government owned organization which is responsible for promoting the MSME sector, which is basically operating under the Ministry of MSME, and it promote, aid and foster the growth of micro and small enterprises in the country, which provide finance, marketing, technology and training support. ठीक है, अब इसमें जो ये tie up हुआ है सर, this tie up has been done with some of the private banks, out of which you must remember the name of Axis Bank, or you should remember the name of IndusInd Bank, and most importantly, if you can remember the name of AU Bank, that is more than sufficient. Now let's read out the question. NSIC function under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry? No sir, NSIC operate under Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. The MOU was signed under MSME Credit Facilitation Program. That is absolutely correct. Participating banks include Axis Bank, Dhanlaxmi Bank, Karnataka Bank, AU Small Finance Bank, IndusInd Bank. True. The primary objective is to streamline financing and promote MSME formalization. That is true. The MOU event was attended by Union Minister of MSME. This is something important. ये एक ऐसा पॉइंट था जो मैंने इग्नोर किया कि किसने इस मीटिंग को अटेंड किया, बट यस, MSME मिनिस्टर वाज प्रेजेंट एंड द आंसर टू दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन इज 2, 3, 4, 5. अच्छा, आप लोगों ने आंसर किया. मैंने आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछा था. आई आस्क्ड यू अ क्वेश्चन. द क्वेश्चन वाज, हु इज द MSME Minister of India? Who is the MSME Minister of India? Is it a cabinet minister, or is it a minister of state with independent charge? Any idea? So sir, we call him as the name is Jitan Ram Manji, and Jitan Ram has been serving as the Union Minister of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises since June 2024. He is currently the MP of Gaya, Bihar. He is currently representing as an MP of Gaya, Bihar. Remember that. And he has previously also served as the Chief Minister of Bihar. So this is what you need to remember. So he's a cabinet minister. The Minister of State for MSME, Karan, Shobha K. I think the name is Karandlaje. Yes, Karandlaje is the name. Shobha Karandlaje. If I'm coming up with the wrong pronunciation, then I will say Shobha K. ठीक है जी, क्लियर हो गया पॉइंट, समझ आ गया. चलो अगली न्यूज की ओर बढ़ते हैं. अगली न्यूज जो है दैट इज रिलेटेड टू SBI, स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया, and it is related to SBI's report. What is this report all about? So this report is Economic Research Department. So the Economic Research Department of State Bank of India, which is undoubtedly the largest public sector bank of the country, has released the latest research report highlighting the performance of UPI. So these days, UPI is in news, especially since April 2025. There has been a news floating that many of the banks, they will start charging charges against your UPI services, because of which UPI has received a great importance in the current timeline. And depending on that, this news is really very important because it is a report which is published by Economic Research Department of State Bank of India, and it basically talks about UPI, that how UPI has emerged as the backbone of India's digital payment. It will talk about the data on transaction value and transaction volume which is done in the country, data and transaction value and transaction volume, with respect to these transactions. The report also points to structural transformation in payment behavior, with UPI replacing traditional modes such as cash and debit card. So ये बहुत important है कि ये जो report है, it also highlights the UPI has basically resulted in structural transformation in the payment behavior, because now UPI has majorly replaced cash as well as debit card mode of transaction, and majority mode of transactions which are done in the country, they are UPI based. ठीक है जी, is it clear? Now let's talk about the key highlights of this particular report. First talks about the transaction growth in 2025, average daily value of UPI transactions. If I talk about the average daily value of UPI transactions, in January it was 75,000 crores, then in July it was 80,000 crore, and in August so far we have recorded 90,000 crore rupees of daily transactions. 90,000 crore rupees of daily transactions, and government is targeting to achieve a daily transaction value of 1 lakh crore rupees, daily transaction value of 1 lakh crore rupees, or we can also say that 1 billion rupees. If I talk about the average daily transaction volume, in terms of volume, the volume has increased by 127 million transactions between January to August 2025, and it is 675 million daily transactions. Government aim is to achieve the daily number of transactions of 1 billion. Government's aim is to achieve the daily number of transactions of 1 billion. तो यहाँ पे आपको दो चीजें याद रखनी है कि daily value of transaction, it is around 90,000. You can have an approximate idea, 90,000 crores, and number of transactions, that is 675 million. Target is 1 lakh crore rupees. Target is 1 lakh crore rupees, but major target is daily transactions of 1 billion. Major target is of daily transaction value, that should be 1 billion. ठीक है जी, clear हो गया point. Second is state wise. This is very important. If I talk about the state wise distribution of UPI usage, so in terms of state wise usage of UPI, then I would say the top 5 states by transaction volume is Maharashtra, then we have Karnataka, then we have UP, after that Telangana, and in the end we have Tamil Nadu. Now if you include these 5 states, do not remember their percentage. That is not going to be asked, but this flow is important. Name the state with highest UPI transactions in the country. Answer is Maharashtra in terms of volume, and in terms of value again it is Maharashtra. The flow is absolutely same: Maharashtra, Karnataka, then UP, then Telangana, and in the end we have Tamil Nadu. So same flow for value as well as volume. Same flow for value as well as volume. Again, I would say these percentages, these values, they are not important. If you want, you can just remember the value for the top ranker, top state, that is Maharashtra. 2.30 lakh crore rupees is the average daily transaction which is done in the state, but still I would say this is not important. Moving on to the next point. Maharashtra dominates in both value and volume. Why? The reason is Maharashtra is undoubtedly the leading digital economy hub in the country, because of Navi Mumbai as well as Mumbai as well as the other states, other cities like Nagpur and all. They are resulting in the highest number of digital transactions in the state. If we talk about GST collection, remember that the GST collection is also recorded highest by the same state, that is Maharashtra. That is all because of the size of business. GST collection is highest in Maharashtra, because of which the UPI transactions are also highest in Maharashtra. ठीक है जी, clear हो गया point. Moving on to the next point. The next is, the report highlights a decisive transition from cash and debit card to UPI as a dominant mode of payment in India. So in November 2019, UPI share was 40%, in January it was 62%, and today in the total digital transactions, UPI share is 91%. UPI share is 91%. So this trend confirms government's Digital India push and signals India movement towards a near cashless economy very soon. Now, if I talk about the bank-wise and platform-wise, the top remitter bank means, let's suppose I have an account in SBI and I am paying through UPI to one of my seller, and seller's account is in ICICI. So from my account, funds will be remitted through UPI network into the ICICI's account. So SBI becomes the remitter. SBI becomes the remitter and ICICI becomes the beneficiary. ICICI becomes the beneficiary. So in this case, overall in the country, the highest emitter is SBI and the highest receiver is Yes Bank. Again, I would suggest you, the values are not important. If you want to remember anything, you can remember 3.4x higher than HDFC. So this is not in terms of value, it is basically the volume. So top remitter bank, 5.2 billion transactions in terms of volume, SBI, and in terms of receiver, again, we have highest number of receiving transactions are done to Yes Bank. Now, the next point, which is again very important, highest number of transactions of UPI based transactions are done by which platform? That is PhonePe. After that, we have Google Pay, and after that, we have Paytm. So these are the top 3 platforms used in the country for UPI transactions. Remember that these 3 organizations collectively, they capture more than 50%, greater than 50% of the total UPI market: PhonePe, Google Pay, as well as Paytm. And remember that there has been an announcement done by RBI regarding the market cap. So market cap has been announced 30% for every UPI player, and this is ought to be applicable from December 2026. If it is correct, if you remember this, give me yes sir. Is it clear everyone? Do you remember this? कि भैया अगर हम बात करें in terms of market cap, अब एक एप्लीकेशन जो है, एक यूपीआई प्लेयर जो है, that will be allowed to cater only 30% of the total market size, and this foundation, this cap is going to be implemented from December 2026. Clear? No doubt? Chalo. What are the significance if we talk about, sir? It will strengthen the financial inclusion in the country. It has resulted in increase in efficiency and transparency. India has become the global leader in the digital payments, as well as it has encouraged the growth of e-commerce, fintech and MSME credit flows in the country. Along with this, I have some more news which are associated with the given news. Cross-border UPI expansion. I hope you remember UPI has now been integrated with Singapore's Pay Now, UAE instant payment platform, and discussion are underway with France and Mauritius. So now UPI is linked with Singapore's Now Pay. You can transfer to Singapore resident directly through UPI. Same goes for UAE under the instant payment platform. This tie-up has been done. Second is UPI Lite and UPI Tap and Pay. So NPCI has promoting UPI Lite X for offline small transaction and UPI Tap for near field communication based on contactless payments. Then we talk about GST, as I have already discussed with you. Maharashtra records the highest GST receive, or the highest GST is collected by which state in the country? Answer is again Maharashtra. The highest number of UPI transactions are performed in which country? Answer is again Maharashtra. Government push for UPI credit line. So RBI permitted linking of credit line to UPI, expanding the UPI use beyond debit accounts and wallets. This will boost digital credit access for individual and MSMEs. That means you will be now allowed to link your UPI to the credit lines so that you can utilize UPI to make funds out of your credit facilities, out of your credit limits. Clear हो गया जी? Easy है. डेटा उतना ही याद करना जो मैंने आपके लिए मार्क किया है. जो डेटा मैंने आपके लिए मार्क नहीं किया, डोंट रिमेंबर दैट. अब आप सोच रहे होंगे कि सर आपने ये डेटा दिया क्यों? इट इज जस्ट फॉर योर रेफरेंस, ताकि आपको पता चले कि क्या डिफरेंसेस है. वरना आपको लगेगा पेटीएम और गूगल बहुत पास है, बट अगर आप टेक्निकली देखोगे काफी डिफरेंस है. पेटीएम जो कि किसी टाइम पे लीडिंग प्लेयर था, काफी पीछे रह चुका है. तो ये सारे एस्पेक्ट्स को आपको समझाने के लिए आई हैव बीन हियर और आई हैव कम अप विद दिस पर्टिकुलर डेटा. वरना ये डेटा आपके याद रखने के लिए नहीं है. देयर इज नो नीड टू रिमेंबर दिस पर्टिकुलर डेटा. नो वन इज गोइंग टू आस्क यू. और ये डेटा कितना भी याद रख लो, ये याद रहेगा नहीं. एंड ऑफ द डे एग्जामिनेशन में यू वोंट बी इन अ पोजीशन टू answer the question with the help of, or will not be in a position to use this data while answering a question. ठीक है जी, clear हो गया point? Ready? Let's solve a question on the same. Let's solve a question on the same news. If you all are ready, just give me yes, sir. Okay. Now let's try to solve a question on the same news. This is the revision which I have given you guys. ये पढ़ लेना, ये एक एक पॉइंट इंपॉर्टेंट है. एग्जाम ओरिएंटेड जो डेटा आपको रिक्वायर्ड है वो मैंने एक ही जगह आपको प्रोवाइड कर दिया. SBI's इकोनॉमिक रिसर्च डिपार्टमेंट रिपोर्ट, डेली UPI ट्रांजेक्शन्स का वैल्यू वॉल्यूम, टॉप स्टेट्स इन टर्म्स ऑफ वैल्यू वॉल्यूम, UPI शेयर इन वैल्यू ट्रांजेक्शन्स, देन टॉप रिमिटर, टॉप बेनिफिशियरी, टॉप प्लेटफॉर्म्स एंड रीसेंट डेवलपमेंट्स. दीज ऑल अनाउंसमेंट्स हैव बीन डन एट वन पार्ट. क्वेश्चन देखो. With reference to the SBI ERD report on UPI transaction, consider the following. The average daily value UPI crossed 90,000 crore. Yes, sir, that is true. Maharashtra accounted for the highest share in both UPI transaction value and volume. Yes, sir, that is true. Yes Bank emerged as the top beneficiary bank with top beneficiary bank, or SBI has emerged the top remitter bank. The share of UPI in the value terms increased to 91%. That is true. PhonePe recorded highest transaction value among UPI platforms. That is also true. So answer to this particular question is A option, 1, 2, 4, 5. Third option is incorrect. Rest all the options which are mentioned are absolutely correct. Pallu, Yash, Saloni, Gaurav, Anup, absolutely correct. Chalo. Moving on to the next and the most important news, but before I go to that, अगर मान लो इस क्वेश्चन से रिलेटेड आपसे कोई डिस्क्रिप्टिव क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया जाए, जिसके चांसेस कम है, लेकिन हाँ ये जो डेटा है इस रिपोर्ट का, दैट कैन इजीली बी यूटिलाइज्ड in a descriptive question. So what all things you can write down? while writing a descriptive answer, you can write down all these points as a reference or with reference to the report so that you can support your answer. Let's suppose discuss the status of digital payments in the country, then you will be talking about UPI. At the time of discussing about UPI, you can write down these important points which I have written for you, referring this particular report और उस report के ये points हैं which can be easily utilized while writing a descriptive answer. Happy guys? Happy? बड़े दिन से descriptive question कोई बताया नहीं था मैंने, but now I hope it is clear. Now let's move on to the next point, which is, I would say it's important and it's bit lengthy. इस पे थोड़ा समय लगेगा, अगला आधा घंटा हम इसी न्यूज़ पे डिस्कशन करेंगे. तो as I always do, I'll quickly come up with some of the plain slides. पहले हम लिख के समझ लेते हैं पूरी की पूरी न्यूज़ को, and then we will be moving ahead. Ready guys? ठीक है, तो सबसे पहली चीज ये है क्या सर? दिस इज बेसिकली द ड्राफ्ट विच हैज बीन गिवन. दिस इज बेसिकली द ड्राफ्ट विच हैज बीन गिवन बाय आरबीआई. और ये ड्राफ्ट क्यों देना जरूरी है? क्योंकि आरबीआई ने अपना फ्रेमवर्क दे दिया है कि आरबीआई अगर कोई भी नया इनिशिएटिव लेगा तो आरबीआई फर्स्ट कम अप विद द ड्राफ्ट एंड आरबीआई विल वेट फॉर द public feedback or stakeholders feedback, and after receiving their feedback, if required, restructuring will be done and again come for feedback. Otherwise, if feedback is received and it says that the draft is in line with public expectations, then the same draft will be accepted and presented as the guidelines. तो प्रॉब्लम क्या थी सर? प्रॉब्लम ये थी कि इंडिया में जब भी कभी कोई इंडिविजुअल ने मान लो बैंक अकाउंट ओपन किया, या फिर उस इंडिविजुअल ने मान लेते हैं कि कोई सेफ लॉकर ओपन किया विद द बैंक, एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली इफ द इंडिविजुअल डाई, तो उस केस में ये जो बैंक अकाउंट की अमाउंट है या सेफ लॉकर में पड़ी जो असेट्स है, it is currently very difficult to retrieve these funds, and every bank has different method for providing this recovery to the customer, for providing the claim to the customer. अब इन सारी प्रॉब्लम्स को ओवरकम करने के लिए RBI has come up with a draft where RBI says that we will be coming up with a streamlined process for all the deposit accounts, opened by the customer with the bank, safe deposit lockers, as well as articles which are placed in safe custody. You can also place your articles which are placed in safe custody. अब प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है कि सर ये जो स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन है, ये स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन तभी हो पाएगा जब सभी बैंक सेम नॉर्म्स फॉलो करेंगे, और तभी सारे बैंक सेम नॉर्म्स फॉलो करेंगे when there would be a uniform process which will be defined. So finally RBI has come up with a uniform aspect, and RBI is saying that this entire guideline or draft will be applicable. It will be applicable on all the scheduled commercial banks, as well as it will be applicable on cooperative banks as well. So it will be applicable on all commercial banks and cooperative banks. This is very important, which you need to remember. And this particular guideline, once it will be given, RBI is expecting that it will come in effect on or before 1st of January 2026. On or before 1st January 2026. ठीक है जी. अब इसमें कुछ बातों पे बात करते हैं, एक एक करके एक एक कंडीशन पे बात करेंगे. प्लीज पे अटेंशन. लेट्स सपोज you are talking about a deposit account, and the deposit account which you are talking about, it's a joint account. Deposit account, and that too, it is a joint account. Joint account means where we have greater than or equal to 2 individuals as the account holder. And now when you open up a joint account, you have different options to come up with. Joint account comes up with certain powers which are defined. For example, you have opened up a joint account and you say this joint account will be operated by former, or you write a term that is survivor. You write a term that is survivor. मतलब इसका क्या हुआ कि सर दोनों में से जो पहला इंडिविजुअल है, दोनों में से जो पहला इंडिविजुअल है वो इस अकाउंट को मैनेज करेगा फॉर द होल लाइफ, एंड व्हेन ही डाई at the time of his death, whosoever is surviving, the other survivor partner account holder will be responsible to manage the account. Same goes for agar condition hai anyone or survivor. It means if you have an account in which you have more than two individuals as a member, more than two individual as a member, so in that particular case anyone can operate the account, and at the time of death of anyone, whosoever is surviving can manage the account. Even we have a term that is either or survivor. Either word use किया जाता है उस joint account में where we have only two individuals. So in this, either of them can manage the account, and at the time of death of one, the other survivor will be responsible to manage the account. अब question ये आता है कि अगर आपका account है, या तो वो account joint account है और उसकी ये कंडीशंस है, जॉइंट अकाउंट विद सर्वाइवर कंडीशंस, जॉइंट अकाउंट विद सर्वाइवर कंडीशंस, और अकाउंट विद नॉमिनी, और अकाउंट विद नॉमिनी, देन इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस बैंक will come up for the settlement. And how the settlement will be done in this case? So this is basically when where a depositor has registered a nomination under the Banking Regulation Act 1949, or the account has a survivorship clause, the bank can directly release the funds to the nominee or survivor. तो उस केस में बैंक डायरेक्टली क्या करेगा? बैंक will release the funds. किसे? So funds को रिलीज कर देगा आपके नॉमिनी को, या फिर whosoever who is survivor. ये पॉइंट समझ आ गया ना, सर्वाइवर वाला? ठीक है. अब इसमें अगला पॉइंट क्या आता है? इसमें अगला पॉइंट आता है कि सर बैंक वेरीफाई करे कि जो आइडेंटिटी ऑफ नॉमिनी है, बैंक वेरीफाई करे कि जो आइडेंटिटी ऑफ नॉमिनी है उसे वेरीफाई करे, सर्वाइवर की आइडेंटिटी को वेरीफाई करे, कंफर्म करे द डेथ ऑफ द डिपॉजिटर थ्रू अ वैलिड डॉक्यूमेंट लाइक डेथ सर्टिफिकेट. Once this is confirmed, then our bank should confirm that no court order exists restraining the payment from the account. Nominee must be informed in writing that they receive funds as trustee of legal heirs, not as a sole owner of the funds. So if nominee is receiving the funds, you will be receiving the funds as a trustee of legal heir. These are not your own funds. Last point is the depositor must have not left any will. तो ये कब पॉसिबल होगा? सर इफ देर इज नो विल इशूड बाय द डिपॉजिटर, if there is no will issued by the depositor, in that particular scenario, immediate basis पे bank will provide the claim. On immediate basis, bank will provide the funds to the nominee or the survivorship. So let's take an example. मान लो कि एक इंडिविजुअल है ए, उनका टर्म डिपॉजिट था, एफडी था 50 लाख का, और उस एफडी की नॉमिनी थी उनकी वाइफ. एट द टाइम ऑफ डेथ ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल ए, द बैंक कैन रिलीज द फुल अमाउंट टू हर, दैट इज टू हिज वाइफ, आफ्टर ड्यू वेरिफिकेशन, विदाउट आस्किंग फॉर एनी काइंड ऑफ सक्सेशन सर्टिफिकेट, विदाउट आस्किंग फॉर एनी अदर कंडीशन. तो भैया अगर आप नॉमिनी है तो आइए डेथ सर्टिफिकेट दीजिए एंड यू आर अलाउड टू टेक द फंड्स, नो वन इज गोइंग टू स्टॉप यू. ठीक है जी. सेकंड क्लॉज क्या आता है? सो सेकंड क्लॉज आता है व्हेन यू हैव एन अकाउंट, अ डिपॉजिट अकाउंट विदाउट nomination, or survivor clause, तो क्या होगा सर? अगर आपका अकाउंट है जिसमें कोई नॉमिनेशन, कोई सर्वाइवर क्लॉज नहीं है, उस केस में बैंक क्या करेगा सर? बैंक अडॉप्ट करेगा सिंप्लीफाइड प्रोसीजर. बैंक विल अडॉप्ट simplified procedure, and the moment we talk about banks process to adopt the simplified procedure, the simplified procedure for claim settlement will avoid any hardship to the legal here, and every bank will set threshold. Every bank should set threshold limit कि ये जो simplified procedure है that will be available for a threshold limit, और जो threshold limit है that should be minimum 15 lakhs. अब बैंक चाहे इसको 20 रखे, 25 रखे, 30 रखे, कि अगर 30 लाख तक का फंड है और नॉमिनी या सर्वाइवरशिप क्लॉज नहीं है, I can include it under the simplified procedure. Bank can do that, but as per RBI, minimum threshold limit in order to provide simplified procedure is 15 lakh rupees. अब claim कैसे होगा? So claim can be settled without court order. कब? If there is no will exist of the borrower and there is no contesting claim or court injunction. तो ये कब होगा simplified procedure? If there is no will and no कोर्ट ऑर्डर, दोनों में से कुछ भी नहीं है, तो जब जाकर आप ये सिंप्लीफाइड प्रोसेस को फॉलो कर सकते हैं. अब इसमें करना क्या है? सो बैंक विल आस्क दी लीगल हियर. लीगल हियर का मतलब मान लो सन, डॉटर, हूसोएवर इज द इंडिविजुअल हु इज अलाइव एंड प्रेजेंट. क्लेम फॉर्म फिल करना होगा, डेथ सर्टिफिकेट देना होगा, केवाईसी ऑफ द कंप्लेनेंट विल बी डन, बॉन्ड ऑफ इंडेमनिटी. इंडेमनिटी समझते हो? बॉन्ड ऑफ इंडेमनिटी का मतलब in case in near future if someone else come in front of the bank to recover the funds and he or she claims himself or herself to be the legal heir, the bank have already obtained an indemnity. Bank has already obtained the indemnity from the customer, which means कि अगर future में कोई loss होगा तो customer will be responsible to compensate that loss of the bank. No will का मतलब when you have not left any will. Will, what is will? Will is basically a legal document which you leave or which is valid after an individual's death, which says that how individuals' asset will be distributed. So a legal declaration by a person about how their property, asset and belonging should be distributed after their death is basically known as will. समझ आ गई बात? That is basically known as will. जो मूवीज में देखते हैं उनकी विल में ऐसा लिखा था, उनकी विल में वैसा लिखा था, वो सारी बात है. फिर उसके बाद एनओसी चाहिए, नो ऑब्जेक्शन सर्टिफिकेट फॉर नॉन कंप्लायंट हियर्स. फॉर एग्जांपल, आई एम द सन and I want to recover the funds of my grandfather who has passed away. In that case, I need signature of my father, my father's brothers, my father's sisters, then my father's wife, that is my mother's signature. Then I need signature of my father's brother's wife as well as the father's sister, husband, and all those individuals who can claim or who have a claim to borrow the funds or to receive that amount. They have to sign. Once their signature is done, then only I will be eligible to withdraw the funds. No third party surety is required in case of no third party surety. Remember, that is required in case of simplified procedure, and simplified procedure is available for a given amount, and the given amount threshold limit is minimum 15 lakhs. It may change with respect to bank. That bank may offer simplified procedure till 20 lakh rupees, or bank may offer simplified procedure till 30 lakh rupees or 50 lakh rupees depending upon it, but bank cannot decrease it. So it cannot say that I will be offering simplified procedure till 10 lakhs only. No, that's not possible. Minimum 15 lakhs. उसके ऊपर आप कितना भी जाइए, that is okay. I have an example for this. Let's say the example is there is an individual B, he dies, and there is a 12 lakh rupees into his account. No nominee has been given for his account. Then in that particular case, Mr. B's 2 children, they will file a claim with NOC from their grandmother and other, I would say, relatives. The bank can release the amount based on the legal heir certificate and indemnity bond without involving the court. Without involving the court. समझ आ गया point? Easy. I hope this point is clear. Shall I move ahead? I hope this point is clear. Shall I move ahead? Now let's move on to the next condition. So the next condition is if we have a deposit account without nominee or survivorship and deposit value is greater than threshold limit. Now this deposit value, or even you can call it as claim value, if your claim value is greater than threshold limit, or threshold limit minimum kitna hai, 15 lakh, it can be different for different banks. So in that particular case, bank will obviously not follow a simplified procedure. In that particular case, bank will first demand for succession certificate. Or bank will demand for affidavit, बिफोर मजिस्ट्रेट. तो मजिस्ट्रेट के सामने जाइए, एक एफिडेविट बनवा के लाइए. दूसरा इज लीगल हेयर सर्टिफिकेट कि आप ही लीगल हेयर है इस इंडिविजुअल के जिनके अकाउंट से आप क्लेम करना चाहते हैं. प्लस वी नीड अ थर्ड पार्टी. बैंक नीड्स अ थर्ड पार्टी श्योरिटी. Once it is completed, then only bank will provide you the funds. Otherwise, bank will not provide you the funds. अब question ये आता है कि sir, what do you understand by the word succession certificate? How many of you have heard about the term that is succession certificate? Remember that, guys. Succession certificate basically means a legal document which is issued by civil court to the legal heirs of a deceased person. है ना? It basically authorizes them to collect debt, security and other movable assets on the behalf of the deceased and to give them a valid discharge to the debtors like banks and companies. So it is governed under Indian Securities Act, Indian Succession Act 1925. Purpose is basically to establish the rightful heir to claim the movable assets. It acts as an indemnity to the debtor. It is granted by the district court in whose jurisdiction the deceased person ordinarily resided in his time or in his life. Any legal heir of a deceased person can apply. Application must include the details of the family, debt and security and whatnot. After that, court will get into the discussion, court will get into the review, and once court finds it, whosoever is capable, whosoever is authenticate will be given the succession certificate. तो अगर आपके पास succession certificate है which has been issued by court, it's fine. Otherwise, we need an affidavit before magistrate. That means while signing the affidavit, magistrate should be present, and the affidavit says that I legally announce that I am the only legal heir of the individual who has passed away. Along with that, we need a legal heir certification, and then bank needs a third party surety. Then only bank provides you with the refunds, bank provides you with the claim of the funds. Is this point clear? Is this point clear? If it is clear, just give me yes, sir. If it is clear, just give me yes, sir. Now, I'll make you understand the nomination facility available in deposit accounts, safe deposit locker and articles kept in safe custody is provided under Banking Regulation Act 1949. This mechanism basically aims to reduce the financial and emotional hardship at the time of the death. So to address these issues, it has been decided to review and update existing framework, which includes streamlined and harmonized procedures across banks, standardized documentation required for claim settlement, enhance customer service quality by ensuring time-bound and hassle-free claim settlement. So this initiative is basically in line with the recent announcement which has been done by RBI that we will be coming up with a standardized approach. So it will include the deposit accounts, safe deposit lockers and articles placed in the safe custody. RBI comes up with this particular guidelines or these drafts under the act like Banking Regulation Act 1949, under which RBI has been given the power to come up with these discussions. If I talk about the title of this particular draft, it is settlement of claim in respect of deceased yani died customer of the bank. These directions shall come into effect from 1st January 2026 or maybe before that. These directions are mandatory for all commercial banks as well as cooperative banks of the country. Okay? Now I'll discuss all these points, but before that I have some of the definitions. पढ़ लेना ये definitions. वैसे तो मैक्सिमम डेफिनेशंस आपको पता है और जो डेफिनेशंस आपको नहीं पता वो मैंने ऑलरेडी क्लियर कर दी है. अकाउंट्स विद सर्वाइवरशिप क्लॉज का क्या मतलब है. देन हु इज प्रोबेट. प्रोबेट मींस द कॉपी ऑफ अ विल certified under the seal of a court of competent jurisdiction with a grant of administration to the estate of the tester. मैं बता देता हूँ ये क्या है. मान लो एक इंडिविजुअल है, उस इंडिविजुअल ने विल लिखी और विल लिखने के बाद उसने वो विल अपने पास रख ली. ठीक है. और जब उनकी डेथ हुई तब जाकर वो विल दुनिया वालों को मिली, और जब वो विल दुनिया वालों को मिली तो उन्होंने वो विल जुडिशरी के सामने प्रेजेंट की. जुडिशरी ने उस विल को पढ़ा और पढ़ने के बाद उसे वैलिडेट किया, और वैलिडेट करने के बाद एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर अपॉइंट किया कि दिस इंडिविजुअल, दिस लॉ फर्म विल बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल इन ऑर्डर टू प्रोसेस द कंडीशंस व्हिच आर मेंशन्ड अंडर विल. तो जब ये एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन या एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव कोर्ट द्वारा अपॉइंट किया जाता है, देन वी कॉल दिस प्रोसेस एज प्रोबेट, and the one who is going to implement the will is known as administrator. अब दूसरी तरफ मान लो मैंने अपनी विल लिखी और विल लिख के मैंने मरने से पहले एक बैंक को रिस्पॉन्सिबल बना दिया कि यू विल बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर एग्जीक्यूटिंग माई विल. इन दैट केस बैंक विल बी टर्म्ड एज एग्जीक्यूटर. सो एग्जीक्यूटर और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर में क्या फर्क है. इफ यू हैव एज एन इंडिविजुअल यू हैव अपॉइंटेड the executor of your will, that will be termed as executor. If you haven't appointed and after your death it is appointed by the court, he or she will be termed as the administrator. So probate means the copy of a will certified under the seal of the court of a competent jurisdiction with a grant of jurisdiction, with a grant of administration is known as probate. और will तो मैंने आपको बता ही दिया, which refers to the legal declaration of person's intention with respect to the disposition of his or her property after death. तो मैंने सबसे पहले जो बात की, अकाउंट्स जिसके साथ नॉमिनी लिखा है, नॉमिनी का नाम क्लियर है या सर्वाइवरशिप क्लॉज क्लियर है, तो उस केस में इट्स वेरी इजी. उस केस में इट इज वेरी इजी. बैंक विल गो थ्रू विद सर्टेन कंडीशंस. फर्स्ट इज बैंक विल आइडेंटिफाई द नॉमिनी. द नो कोर्ट ऑर्डर इज इशूड अगेंस्ट द अकाउंट. नॉमिनी मस्ट बी इन्फॉर्म्ड इन राइटिंग दैट they receive the funds as a trustee of legal heirs and depositor must not have left a will. अगर ये conditions fulfill हो जाती हैं, then in that particular case funds will be given or claim will be given to the claimant whosoever is making the claim over here. Example is Mr. A has held 50 lakh rupees deposit with the bank with his wife as nominee. On the death, bank can easily release the entire 50 lakh rupees to the wife even if the value is greater than the threshold limit, that is 15 lakhs. क्योंकि वो threshold limit का रोल कब आएगा, when there is no nominee or there is no survivorship. If there is no nominee, no survivorship, and if the claim value is below the threshold value, as well as no will exist, no contesting claim or court injunction is there, then in that particular case claim form receive कर लो, death certificate, KYC of the complainant, bond of indemnity. मैंने आपको बताया indemnity क्या है. This is a guarantee instrument which you issue as a customer to the bank कि अगर फ्यूचर में कोई और आपसे क्लेम लेने आया और अगर आपका लॉस हुआ तो I will be compensating your loss. No objection certificate from the non-compliant heirs, legal heir certificate or independent declaration. No third party surety is required अगर it is below the threshold limit, and the minimum threshold limit is 15 lakhs. But अगर condition है accounts without nominee and survivorship as well as the claim is above the threshold limit, then we need succession certificate which is issued by the district court, or bank needs an affidavit before magistrate, legal heir certificate and third party surety, and then only funds will be given or funds will be paid to the funds will be paid to the complainant. Third condition है cases which are not covered by simplified procedure. Now, which cases are not covered under simplified procedure? First one, claims जिनमें we have uncontested will. So it can be settled as per the will based on probate or letter of administration. However, if there is no dispute and will seems genuine, bank may act without probate. तो इसमें क्या है, पहला पॉइंट, अगर आपकी एक विल है, ठीक है, और वो विल पे कोई भी किसी ने अभी तक उस विल को कंटेस्ट नहीं किया, किसी ने नहीं कहा कि विल के लिए मैं रिस्पॉन्सिबल हूं, इस विल का सारा पैसा मुझे मिलना चाहिए, कोई डिस्प्यूट नहीं है, विल जेन्युइन है, तो बैंक सिर्फ उस विल को देखते हुए पैसा दे देगा आपके क्लेमेंट को. लेकिन अगर क्लेम्स है जिसमें एक डिस्प्यूटेड विल है या कंटेस्टिंग क्लेम्स है, तो इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस सेटलमेंट विल बी डन ओनली ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ प्रोबेट, सक्सेशन सर्टिफिकेट और कोर्ट ऑर्डर. तो जो भी कोर्ट का ऑर्डर होगा उसके अकॉर्डिंग बैंक विल बी फॉरवर्डिंग, बैंक विल बी गिविंग द क्लेम इन केस ऑफ डिस्प्यूटेड विल. अगर डिस्प्यूटेड विल है कोर्ट विल डिसाइड, अगर अनडिस्प्यूटेड विल है तो बैंक विल पे एज पर द विल कंडीशंस. इज दिस पॉइंट क्लियर? बट इन दोनों ही केसेस में सेफगार्ड या सिंप्लीफाइड प्रोसीजर विल नॉट बी एप्लीकेबल. इन दोनों ही केसेस में सिंप्लीफाइड प्रोसीजर विल नॉट बी एप्लीकेबल इवन इफ the claim amount is below 15 lakhs. समझ आई ये बात यहां तक? कोई दिक्कत? समझ आई ये बात यहां तक? कोई दिक्कत? अगर सही है तो एक बार यस सर टाइप कर दो. अगर क्लियर है तो जस्ट गिव मी यस सर, देन आई विल मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. ठीक है, अगला पॉइंट क्या है? ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ पाइपलाइन फ्लोज. मान लो एक इंडिविजुअल है, ही वॉज रिसीविंग पेंशन और ही वॉज रिसीविंग डिविडेंड और ही वॉज receiving any kind of return which he was supposed to receive after the death. So bank must obtain the authorization from the heirs or nominee for one of the two options. अब क्या होता है कि मान लो आपने एक पेंशन स्कीम खरीदी है which says that till the time you are alive we will be giving you pension X. Once you die, we will give pension to your spouse, which will be X by 2. Now this X by 2 pension will be credited on the name of the spouse. How it will be possible? So bank will open an estate of late individual account in order to credit such inflows. जिससे कोई withdraw नहीं हो सकता. Return funds to the remitter with a remark account holder deceased. तो इसमें क्या है, एक ऑप्शन तो है कि आपका एस्टेट ऑफ द लेट राम जी है, राम है नाम उनका, तो राम जी के नाम से हमने अकाउंट बना दिया और उस अकाउंट में पैसा डिपॉजिट होता जा रहा है, इनफ्लो हो रहा है, बट कोई विड्रॉ नहीं है. विड्रॉ होगा एज पर दी विल या विड्रॉ होगा एज पर दी क्लेम. या फिर दूसरी कंडीशन हो सकती है कि आपके पास रिटर्न फंड्स टू द रिमिटर विद रिमार्क, आप पैसा वापस कर दो रिमिटर को, जो भी रिमिट कर रहा है. मान लो गवर्नमेंट रिमिट कर रही है पैसा आपके अकाउंट में, तो वहां पे लिखा आ जाए कि भैया ये अकाउंट होल्डर की डेथ हो चुकी है, प्लीज इसमें पैसा डिपॉजिट मत कीजिए. तो उस केस में क्या होगा, अगर कंपनी को आपने पैसा रिटर्न कर दिया बिकॉज कंपनी वॉज पेइंग द डिविडेंड, इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस कंपनी विल try to find out the nominee. If not, then company will deposit that dividend amount into the dividend unclaimed account. याद है, unclaimed dividend account. And if the dividend remains in that account for 7 years, then it is transferred to IEPF as we have discussed. I hope you remember that. तो ये पूरी वो स्टोरी है जो हमने पहले पढ़ी थी, तो वो स्टोरी यहाँ पर भी इम्प्लीमेंटेड है कि अगर if there is a case, in case where the account where the funds are still coming in credit on the name of the individual who has passed away, so या तो एक ऐसा अकाउंट बनेगा जिस अकाउंट का नाम चेंज हो जाएगा, या उसी अकाउंट का नाम चेंज करके स्टेट ऑफ लेट राम जी कर देंगे उसको, और उससे कोई विड्रॉ अलाउड नहीं होगी, या फिर डिपॉजिट लेगा ही नहीं बैंक, और बैंक मना कर देगा डिपॉजिट लेने से और बोल देगा कि इस अकाउंट में पैसा मत डिपॉजिट करो, द इंडिविजुअल हैज पास्ड अवे. So Mr. D passes away in July, but pension for August is credited. His nominee authorizes the bank to return the funds to the pension authority for reinsurance. Remember this. अगला point है premature closure of term deposit. So what is the condition I'm talking about over here? Premature closure of term deposit का मतलब यहाँ पर क्या हुआ? Let's suppose a joint FD of husband and wife requires the consent of wife plus heirs of the deceased husband. If mandated exit existed, wife alone could withdraw. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ, ये पॉइंट समझो जरा. Bank must allow the premature withdrawal of deposit of a deceased depositor without penalty even during lock-in. तो अगर आपके इंडिविजुअल की एफडी है और वो इंडिविजुअल passes away and the one who is the legal heir, the one who is the actual claimant, the one maybe the joint holder of the FD, if he or she claim, then he or she will receive the funds without any penalty, even if the withdrawal is done before maturity, even if the withdrawal is done during a lock-in period. अगर joint depositor account है तो survivor plus legal heir must consent unless a mandate was given earlier permitting survivor to operate. तो इसका मतलब समझ लो क्या, मैंने एक एफडी बनाई अपने ब्रदर के साथ और मैंने जब वो एफडी बनाई तो मैंने कहा कि माय ब्रदर विल हैव द मैंडेट in case of survivor. Means if I die, then on my behalf, my brother will be the whole and sole owner of this particular FD. Now let's suppose I have a FD with my brother and unfortunately if I passes away, in that particular case, my brother will not be allowed to withdraw the funds from the FD unless and until my parents or my wife or my children give green flag कि ठीक है आप withdraw कर लीजिए. Without their consent, no withdrawal can be done. So either you must have a mandate, and if you don't have a mandate, then you need the approval of the survivors, or you need the consent of the survivors as well as the legal heirs in order to withdraw the funds from the term deposit. Claim in respect of missing person. अगर मान लो एक इंडिविजुअल है, he has not died but he has misplaced, है ना, गुम हो गया, तो उस केस में this is governed by भारतीय साक्ष्य अधिनियम. So it says that presumption of death can only be established through court order. तो जो हम किसी को कहते हैं कि उसे presume कर लिया गया कि he is passed away, that is done through a court order. Bank may settle the claims up to a threshold limit which is decided by the bank, but that could not be below 15 lakhs. FIR plus non-traceable report is required and indemnity letter from the complainant is required. For example, if Mr. E goes missing, his wife can claim a balance of 10 lakh in his account by producing FIR plus police non-traceable report and indemnity without waiting for 7 years. So there's no need to wait for 7 years. That once we get the confirmation, once the police has given a report that we are not in a position to trace him, then the wife can go and take up the funds. Akash, I'll ask my team to put them in the playlist. Don't worry, it will be done. Moving on to the next point. The next is settlement claim in safe deposit locker and articles in the safe custody. समझ आया अभी तक हमने क्या क्या पढ़ा? हमने पहला तो पढ़ा account with nominee or with survivorship clause. Then we studied accounts without nominee or without survivorship clause. Then we studied accounts with will. That is two part. One is uncontested will, other is disputed will. Fourth, we talked about the inflows even after the death of the individual. Fifth, we talk about premature closure of term deposit. And sixth, we talk about the conditions related to the missing person. Now, I'm moving on to the next point. The next point talks about safe deposit lockers and articles in safe custody. So, claims with nominee or survivors. So, nominee by sole locker here. मान लो आपका एक locker and you are the only owner of the locker. If a locker has a sole owner and he nominates one or two individuals, the bank must give access and liberty to remove the contents to the nominee. तो nominee आए और अपना जो भी locker से सामान लेना ले जाए. In case of a minor nominee, the content must be handed over to a legally competent guardian who can act on the behalf of the minor. Mr. X, he is the sole locker owner, nominates his daughter. On his death, bank would release the locker content to her. If she is a minor, then contents are given to her mother because she is the legal guardian of the daughter. Clear? Second, if it is a joint locker with nomination or survivorship clause, if a locker is jointly held with joint signature and nomination exists, then on the death of one individual, access is given jointly to the nominee as well as survivors. So in that case, access will be given jointly to the nominee as well as survivor. If a locker is held with survivorship clause, like either or survivor, anyone or survivor, or I would say former or survivor, then bank follow whosoever has given or whosoever received the mandate will be responsible to withdraw the funds. So two brothers, they have opened up a joint account, joint locker, either or survivor mandate, which means if one of the individual dies, then the surviving brother can alone access the account without nominee involvement. So in this case, documents required include claim form, death certificate, official valid document of the nominee or survivor. Fourth is the condition before access. So condition before access, bank should do the proper verification of the nominee, no court order restraining access, and clear communication that nominee or survivor act only as a trustee of the legal heirs. Then inventory procedure. After verification, bank fixes a date and time for inventory of the locker content. Presence required, nominee or survivors, two independent witness, not bank staff or ex-staff, locker custodian, whosoever is responsible from the bank staff, and another bank employee unconnected with locker operations will be present. Inventory detail will be recorded, and contents that have been handed over to the nominee or survivor will be signed with an acknowledgement कि हाँ जी ये सारी चीजें मैंने लॉकर से ली है from the bank. No legal document required in case of like no succession certificate or probate or letter of administration or indemnity or surety is required because the customer has himself named the nominee or the customer has himself given the mandate to the survivor. In case of safe custody articles, the same process is going to be followed. Now let's suppose the other condition, there is a claim without nominee or survivorship clause. Us case mein you need the documents. So you need all these documents if there is no dispute going on between the legal heirs, and bank will hand over the funds. But if there is a dispute going, then the things are different. So bank will verify the document, fixes the date for the inventory, and in the presence of all the same individuals, the content of the locker will be handed over to the claimant, and claimant may remove the content after submitting bond of indemnity. Example is Mrs. Y dies, leaving locker with jewelry of 20 lakhs, no nominee, her 3 children produce legal heir certification, NOC from the grandmother, but in that case, bank will record the inventory, hand over the content after having a indemnity bond. अब मान लो आपने कोई नॉमिनी तो नहीं बनाया, ना ही कोई सर्वाइवर बनाया, और सर्वाइवरशिप क्लॉज आपने मेंशन नहीं किया, and you have a disputed case in that. So in that particular case, the decision will be similar as that of court. तो कोर्ट जो डिसीजन देगा, बैंक वो फंड्स, वो लॉकर की आइटम्स will hand over to the individual who has received the approval from the court. Same goes for the safe custody articles in case of the scenario where we have no nominee. In case of the scenario where we have no nominee condition. Clear? Now, there are certain standardization of procedure for submission of claims. So Reserve Bank of India has recognized that lack of uniformity in the claim procedure across the banks, they often cause delay and distress to the nominee or legal heirs. To address this, standardized framework is mandated. So bank must use uniform claim form for all scenarios, whether it is deposit account, locker, or safe custody article. These forms and document checklist must be easily accessible, available physical in the branch, hosted on the bank's official website, clearly displaying step-by-step claim settlement procedure. Claimant must lodge claim at any branch, not only at the home branch, making the process more convenient. Upon submission, if the documents are complete, bank issues the confirmation of acceptance. If the documents are incomplete or incorrect, then bank will provide the list of pending documents upfront. Bank may also provide online claim lodgement procedure, that means you can upload the claim form and the supporting documents, acknowledgement and confirmation via email or SMS. Online claim tracking facility will be provided and requirement of originals, if any, can be fulfilled at any branch. और अगर original document चाहिए, that can be fulfilled at any branch. So real life example would be a nominee of a deceased NRI depositor in Kerala should be able to file a claim at any branch of the bank, even in Mumbai, and track the progress online without making multiple branch visits. Then we have a very important clause, that is a time limit. Time limit for settlement of the claim. To ensure timely redressal, first, deposit account settlement should be done within 15 calendar days, not working days, within 15 calendar days from the date of receipt of all required documents. Safe deposit lockers or safe custody articles within 15 days. The bank must initiate the processing and issue of communication to fix a date for inventory taking and handover. Compensation for delay. Banks are held financially accountable if they are not fulfilling the condition. If the claim is not settled within 15 days, if the claim is not settled within 15 days from the date of receipt of all the required documents, then in that particular case, compensation will be paid by the bank, which will be bank rate plus 4% इंटरेस्ट ऑन द ड्यू सेटलमेंट अमाउंट. अब मान लो आपकी सेटलमेंट अमाउंट 2 लाख है, तो उस पर बैंक रेट प्लस 4% पर एनम के हिसाब से रोज का इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा आफ्टर 15 डेज. मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट, फॉर लॉकर्स और सेफ कस्टडी आर्टिकल्स, इन दैट केस कॉम्पनसेशन विल बी 5,000 पर डे बियॉन्ड 15 डेज ऑफ द टाइमलाइन विच इज गिवन टू द बैंक. This clause is a customer protection shield focusing banks to act swiftly. This mirrors the RBI consumer-centric approach seen in the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023 and banking ombudsman reforms which have been done by RBI. Then authentication of proof of death documents issued in case of an individual who is abroad for NRI and Indian citizens who die overseas. Claim settlement is often complicated due to foreign issued documents. RBI has now permitted multiple authentication modes. First, verified by unauthorized official of overseas branch of Indian bank, verified at correspondent banks abroad, attested by a court magistrate or judge abroad. Then we have confirmed by the Indian embassy or confirmed by the Hague Convention framework, or flexible multi-route authentication will reduce the family issues related to NRI. तो NRI के केस में भैया इन सारे एस्पेक्ट्स के जरिए कंफर्म किया जा सकता है कि NRI की डेथ हो गई है या नहीं. अगर डेथ हो गई है तो क्लेम जनरेट हो जाएगा. Customer awareness and publicity. So bank must educate customers on the benefit of nomination facility as well as the new introduction of 4 nominees which can be nominated successively or sequentially. That is also need to be updated and shared with the public. Publicize these through branches, websites and awareness drives, and display the procedure for claim settlement openly on the branches itself. Customer awareness and publicity. This measure is preventive. It is basically to ensure proactively registration of nominee by the customers. And if I include the current affairs scenario, then I would say the emphasis on the awareness is consistent with initiative like Financial Literacy Week 2024, where RBI highlighted responsible banking practices. So in 2024, during the Financial Literacy Week, RBI highlighted the responsible banking practices, where RBI is trying its level best to boost the public awareness. So we are expecting that this notification, when it will be passed, or once the feedback is received and the final guidelines are issued, we are expecting that it will be implemented from 1st January 2026. So overall conclusion is standardization means uniform forms and procedure. Digitization, that means you can lodge your claim request online and track it. Time bound process, 15 days limit. Compensation for delays, interest or penalty will be given, and global facilitation, NRI covered through n number of approvals will be allowed, which will help in claiming the NRI accounts in the country. Here we go with the question on the same news. Consider the following statement. First one, these directions will come into effect from 1st of January 2026. We are expecting it. They apply only to the commercial banks, excluding cooperative banks. Wrong. It is applied to all commercial banks and cooperative banks. RBI issue them under Section 35A of Banking Regulation Act 1949 with reference to Section 56. That is correct. Past action taken under easier instructions will remain valid even after repeal. No. Banks are encouraged but not mandated to adopt these procedures. No. So what will be the answer? So what will be the answer to this particular question? Give me the answer, everyone. Let's see who all can give me the correct answer for the same. So first is correct, third is correct. Past actions taken under earlier instructions will remain valid even after the repeal. That is correct. जो पहले एक्शन हो गए हैं वो थोड़ा ना चेंज होंगे. न्यू जो एक्शंस लेने हैं वो चेंज होंगे. सो आंसर इज गोइंग टू बी 1, 3, 4. दैट इज करेक्ट. अगला, settlement of deposit account with nominee or survivorship clause. If a nominee exists, the bank can release the funds directly after due verification. True. Nominee receives funds as absolute owner. No. Nominee will receive funds as trustee of legal heir. No succession certificate, probate or indemnity is required. That is true. If a depositor has left a will, nominee settlement is not applicable. That is true. Bank must verify identity of the nominee and obtain a valid death certificate. That is correct. So answer is going to be 1, 3, 4 and 5 are correct. Next question. For deposit accounts, delay in settlement beyond 15 days require compensation of bank rate plus 4%. True. For lockers or safe custody, penalty is going to be 5,000 rupees per day. So this is wrong. The reference date for the delay in deposit is the date of receipt of all documents. That is true. For safe custody, 5,000 rupees per day payable beyond 15 days timeline. That is true. The timelines for both deposit and locker custody articles are capped at 30 days. No, sir. It's capped at 15 days. So in that particular case, 1 is correct. Third is correct, fourth is correct, but second and fifth are incorrect statements. So answer is going to be A option. Got it, guys? Clear? So this is all for today's session. If you are ready, I will be showcasing you the homework questions, which you can take a screenshot, and in the next class, before the next class, you will be sharing the correct answers in the comment section. If I see more than 20 comments in the comment section, I'll give you the correct answers in the comment section itself, and I will be answering it before going to bed today if the comments will be more than 20 before I go to bed. Okay, so here you go. Take the screenshot. You have 10 seconds. Second question. Third question. Fourth question. So these are the 4 questions which you need to attempt. Do attempt these questions, answer these questions in the comment section below. Thank you so much. Good luck. God bless you all.